Hello and welcome to Healthy Knitting. My name is Rosie and this is Buddy, and today is March 9th, 2015. And you can find me on Ravelry as LESPETITSLUXES. There's also a Ravelry group called Healthy Knitting over there. There is a WordPress.healthyknitting.com, or the other way around, healthyknitting.wordpress.com site, where sometimes you'll find me putting in some information for you. You can subscribe there. I believe an RSS feed reader. You can subscribe on YouTube. And also on the Ravelry group, I let you know when a new video has been uploaded. So, welcome. Today is a beautiful day. It's about, I don't have my phone here. It feels like it's 80 degrees, but it's probably 40. And it just feels so good. The sun is shining, which is why I'm being blasted by light, even though I've turned my desk around to avoid the two windows that are there and there. But you can see there's quite a bit of light coming in, and it's all reflecting off the snow, which is melting, and it's really beautiful. And yesterday was beautiful too. I think the next couple of days are going to be beautiful. So yay. March always brings at least 2 weeks of wonderful weather. I've remembered that since I was a kid, that I've always looked forward to March because it felt like spring was really finally here, even though it technically is coming on the 21st. It still feels like it's warm enough and the winter is finally over. I love the change of seasons. I've grown up in New England all my life, and I love that we have that change. Just when you've had enough of one season, in comes the next. And so it's always this wonderful change that we have. Buddy really says hello. He's being very cute today. I have a lot of things to go over today. I was going to record last week. I don't even remember where I recorded last time. Was it during the week? And then something happened. But I couldn't record over the weekend, so today is Monday. But let's get going here. I've only written out a few things. I had to wait for iMovie is interesting. I must have had too much stuff going on my computer, and I'd hit iMovie and it would just sit there, but it would say that it was running, but it wasn't actually really running, so I had to shut off my computer, turn it back on, and here we go. It's finally working. And it hasn't screwed up yet, so that's awesome. iMovie. It's tricky. So it's been a good week. I've got a lot of things done in the knitting front and was able to use some hand spun yarn and do some other things that I enjoyed, so that was a good thing. I had a little bit when we have ice like this, sometimes what happens is it'll build ice at the base of the where your roof comes down, and if the water is melting up at the top and it hits this ice, it can't go up and over, so it kind of goes under the shingles, and that's when people have ice dams and they have problems and the water comes in. Had a little bit of water, but it wasn't anything horrible. Nothing that made me go up there and start chopping ice, which I have had to do a couple times before, so that was good. But a very strange thing happened last night when I got home. I had a drip from I have a ceiling fan in my bedroom, and it was going right down the mechanics, through the light, and down the chain, and dripping on my floor, which I'm grateful for that it wasn't my bed. So, yay for that. Anyway, it was such a... Oh, we're starting to get weird again. Sorry. It was such a beautiful day yesterday that I went up on the roof and I shoveled the snow off, which wasn't difficult. There was a lot. There was quite a bit of snow, but it was not heavy snow, and it wasn't... It was a beautiful experience, actually, because it was so gorgeous out. And to be up there, and it's always quiet when you're... I spoke too soon about iMovie. We dropped some frames. So, I don't know what does that. I'm not sure. I know I have the most updated version of everything. I've got no idea. We'll just go with it. But anyway, it was a beautiful day to be up there, so I enjoyed myself thoroughly. I only had to take the snow off the bedroom portion, not the whole roof. I did a little bit along the edge on this side because sometimes I have problems here, but I do have heat tape up, but I changed it around so that thought I'd be able to get more mileage out of the heat tape, and I really didn't do myself any favors. Either way, what I do need is more heat tape, and put it back the way I had it. You go in a zigzag pattern up the roof, and then you put one through the drain and then down the spouts. And I did down one spout, but I didn't go across, and I just kind of like made them a little bit more shallow and held them go over the edge a little bit, and it didn't work out as well as my mind envisioned that to work. So need to rework that next year, depending on what's going on with the house. But anyway, after I shoveled, and which was, buddy, you can't sit in front of my face, which was really weird, was the ceiling fan's in the middle of the roof, so there was really no backup going up there. Water cannot, by force of gravity, go up and then come down. It goes the path of least resistance. Where it was leaking from, I've got no idea, but I removed the snow and I just hit him in the face. God, buddy, me and my hands. Sorry, buddy. I need to chill out. So anyway, it stopped. So that was good. So it was a overall good day to be up there and doing that, and I didn't mind at all, and it stopped. So yay for that. Okay, so what else? Really quick, I didn't check to see if the glare would be bad or not. I made a couple paintings. My friend's birthday was a couple weeks ago. I still haven't seen her yet because I haven't made it to knitting. Oh, shoot. And now my painting dropped down a little bit, but I made this little painting for her. Can you see? These are the little minis. I'm not going to keep it in this frame, but I just wanted to frame it to see how it looked. So that's a little mini. It's Tuscany. And then I made another little mini. This one. So I need to go get frames. I just wanted to see what it would look like in a little frame. And I think they came out nice. They were fun. I enjoyed making them. I really just love to paint in pastels. Gosh, it's just so fun. And those were especially nice because they were pictures of Tuscany, which we went on a trip together, a pastel painting trip to Tuscany, and then we went up north to Lake Como after that, so I could show her what that was like up there and double check for me if that was where I wanted to be. And that was, gosh, was it 4 years ago by now? It'll be 4 this summer, I think. So anyway, it was a special time for us, so I thought that would be really fun to make her a painting like that, because she made me the necklace that I showed you with the stone, and that she brought back from Lake Como and had the Italy on there and everything. It was really nice. She's very creative. My friends are super talented, and I love being inspired by them. And remember I told you I missed that last art place to exhibit art? Well, my friend just sent me another one last night, and you can exhibit more than 3 paintings, and so I'm going to look at that a little bit more. It's over the summer, so I don't know if I need to be there. I don't know anything about it. I just need to call them, but it would be nice to put a big body of work together and then take that over there, and that would be fun. And it doesn't cost anything for that one either, so you just need to donate one piece of art for the auction, I guess, which raises money for the whole thing. So yay for that. Sorry, I got hair from Buddy all over the place. Okay, so hi, Buddy. Let's see if I can show you this. I was watching Amy Beth the other day, catching up on some podcasts, and she was talking about, I have to pull it up here. There was a person Patty Lyons, who wrote the top 10 the least favorite knitting myths. Buddy, please. And I have to disagree with one of the things that Patty Lyons is saying in here, because I have been doing this for years and it really works, and I'm going to show you. So, well, hang on, let me get the cat, as I can't do all of this at once. Buddy, sit, please. So this is 64 stitches on double points, and I've cast on, and I've gone through 3 rounds, and I wanted to show you before I did the next round what I'm talking about. Because according to Patty, she says what you need is more space in between your loops, not the north-south that I have here. Not this up and down loop makes no difference. It's the distance in between. And I say that does not matter if you cast on over 2 needles, which I did. I cast over 2 of these same, I think this is size 2 needle, and I held the them together, and I cast on 64 stitches. And while I'm talking, I'm just going to knit this last round, and then I'm going to take it off the needles for you to see, because you can see it's pretty tiny right here, right? For 64 stitches. But the magic happens when you take it off the needles. And this is where I disagree, because when you knit over two, when you cast on over 2 needles, what it does is it provides you with the same size stitches for, very consistently, and you don't have to work at it. You're just going very tightly over those 2 needles. It couldn't be easier. If I'm doing something that's really a large needle, like maybe a size 13, 11, I don't need to use 2 size 13s and 11s. That's just really huge. You can take a smaller, half the size, and put it with it. Okay, so here's my last one. Now, because they're long, when you pull them out, they stretch. So she says there's no stretch when you do this, but I'm going to show you that it is. So here they are, like this, and you can see that it doesn't feel like they're very much distance-wise. What is that, maybe 4 inches? Okay. I did not test this before, but I know this works because this is what I do all the time, and I pull stuff out. So hopefully I'm not going to pull the whole thing out. Where's the cast on? I think what I need to do is bind off. But as you can see, when I pull this, there's plenty of stretch, because what's going to happen is when these are bound, let me just pull it here. See how they make the yarn in between now bigger. It's not an up and down thing anymore because you pulled it. And what I needed to do was bind off, but I wanted to actually just show you that difference. But it does work. It's just not working because I didn't bind off. But you can see I can pull those stitches down and see how it's getting bigger. So I totally disagree with Patty Lyons. Anybody else do cast-ons over 2 needles? I mean, I've been doing it like that for 20 years, and I've never ever had a problem with a top-down cuff being too tight that way. And I know a lot of people don't like doing top-down cuffs because it gets too tight. And I don't use Judy's, what is it, Jenny's? It's somebody's magic. I don't do it the other way. I don't do toe-up. I'm not even sure if I've ever made a toe-up sock. I don't think I ever did. I prefer top-down, and I don't have a problem with going over, making the stitches too tight, going over 2 needles. So anybody else have any problem with that? If you have a problem with that, let me know, because I've just never run into that, and I feel that that's not really a myth. I think it makes nice, perfect, even stitches, and there's plenty of stretch there. So anyway, let's get into knitting. I rearranged my, that's what I was going to show you. I rearranged my spinning shelf over there. I have the stuff that the really nice stuff, not everything's nice, but like the small little bags of the decadent nice fibers, they're all over there. And underneath it, I've kind of gone through and sectioned off all of the spinning certain types of things together. And I was trying to put together for a project, I think I said I had a lot of little single pieces, and I have that over there. So just remind me when we get to the spinning, I'll show that to you, that I wanted to put into a project. And I really wanted to knit with hand spun again, since I just finished that other project. And I was like, what could I knit with? What could I knit with? So I had this very bulky Jacob swirl that I spun, and I bought that at New York Sheep and Wool, and it was from Wellspring Farms. This is the softest Jacob I've ever felt in my life, and I wanted it to keep that softness, and I wanted to keep that spontaneity of swirly color going on. So I did a very thick single. So there was a lot of loft in there, and it was not tightly spun at all, but there was enough spin. When you spin a single, it's never going to be balanced. There's always going to be some, because it's all twisted going in one direction. In order to keep the fibers together, there has to be enough twist to at least do that. But even still with that, I'll show you. This is Hitsu, which is a a single yarn. Do you see how it's already twisting on itself right here? And when you're knitting with this, it'll get all bound up and twisted, and you have to untwist it. So it is the nature of knitting with a single. I wasn't sure if I had enough twist in here to bias the stitches with a stocking knit stitch. Now that can happen if you are only doing stocking knit, and I've done this before with handspun that I made. My first one, I made my first husband a gift, and the whole cowl did this. It slanted. And so being a single, I didn't want that to happen. So I decided to use stitches that were knit and purl, and that would balance out what inconsistencies might be in the yarn. And so this is the Gridiron Hat by Johnny Vasquez, and I'm going to hope that you can see this. The color of this hat is red, so you really can't see very well. And here is the person. This is a really fun hat. I ran out of yarn. So interesting, when I spun this, you can probably see the difference here. See how thin this is compared to this yarn here? Well, when I started spinning it, I was spinning it a little bit thinner, and it's more like a, I don't know, a heavier type sport to a, not sport, a heavier DK weight to a light worsted, and then it got a little bit heavier, and then finally it went into bulky. So I'm like, all right, well, what can I make with this? I don't want to split up the yarn. I want to use all of it, every last bit, which I did because I needed more yarn. So I started with smaller needles, and I decided to knit a bigger brim because I kind of like the fold over brim on me. I like the way that looks, and I like the extra warmth right here. And so I used smaller needles for that, and then I switched to heavier needles, but I still kept the ribbing going. So as soon as I hit the bulky, that's when I started doing the pattern. And it's a really soft and cushy hat. I only ran out at the top. So I had another swirl type fiber that I was working with, which was all llama, and I got that at Sheep and Wool as well. And I had spun it a while ago, and I just had a little bit, so it's not much. If I had done, I think, like one less row, I probably would have had enough to finish the hat. So it's super warm. I absolutely love it. It fits perfect. I did not block it. I'm not going to block it. It's fine the way it is. It's so soft. I love this hat. The pattern was easy to follow. It's a 4-stitch repeat. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I would give it a shot if you have some bulky yarn. And I think other people have made it in different size yarn as well. I mean, it's a hat. If it doesn't work out, you can always rip it back and start over, or change the yarn, or add something, or, get creative, because that's kind of what it's all about. It's having fun with your knitting. It doesn't always have to be perfect to what the person had intended with their pattern. You can change things up and do things however you like. So that was really fun, and I was glad to finish up another piece of handspun. So now I have another area on my needles for some handspun. I don't know what I'm going to make yet though, but we'll talk about that later. So you saw this. This is the Sockhead hat by Kelly McClure. And I made mine with Koigu. It's all finished. I did not block it. It's a little big, and so I don't know if I even want to block it. So here's and I used a different stitch. I used Eye of the Partridge for this part. I did the 4 inches of ribbing, and it's comfortable. It's a little loose, but it's fine. I enjoyed the colors. I enjoyed making it. I had fun using up this stash, which has been, I have had this forever. I'm pretty sure I bought this when I didn't even live around here, but near here was a store that's now up in Maine, and I've forgotten the name of it. But it was this huge store. It's not as big as Webb's, which is the largest knitting store I've ever been into, but it was pretty big. And I'm pretty sure that I bought that there. And they had like a whole section full of Koigu, and I was just like, oh my god, I don't know what to get. So I bought 2 skeins, and one I made into a scarf, which is similar. It's the Eye of the Partridge, which probably would look nice being worn with this if I remember to do that. But anyway, so I have another hat. I love hats. I've told you that, you know that I have 10 million, and I enjoy hats very much, especially in the winter, because look at my hair. I haven't had a haircut in forever. I'm growing it out and I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'm just kind of like letting it go with the flow here. Okay, the only other thing that I'm working on right now is the Raglan Jacket by Celia Glowick MacDonald, and this is from Vogue. And it's the winter 2008-2009. Now, the thing is, this is a paid for pattern, so I can't say too much, but it's knit from the bottom up. And I had Noro, and I didn't know if I was going to have enough, so I decided to do mine top down. So I'm using different yarn. Do you guys know how to do this? I will just take a ratio. So when I'm using a different yarn and I swatch it and I see what's going on here, I can actually get the stitch count and things like that just by doing ratios. And so I didn't prepare to explain this, so maybe I'll just prepare to explain it next week because I don't want to confuse the heck out of you. So anyway, that was a super bulky, and I'm using Noro Hitsu, which is a bulky single, which I showed you right here. And I had 6 skeins of it. And as you know, with Noro, there are knots usually. And I thought I had gotten all the balls through. I reran everything through my ball winder because I had wound it up. Or did I not have it bound up? No, I didn't. So I wound everything all up into my ball winder to check for knots, and I could have sworn I put 2 aside that had no knots, which is what I was looking for, so I could at least get the sleeves to match. I didn't care about all of the body not matching, but I did want the sleeves to match. So that didn't work, but I did write it down and kept track so that I know where there was a change and I can maybe find that color in some other way. The good thing is it's wool and you can splice this together. It's not a big deal. So this is it so far, and I'm liking it. Now I have to make sure that I have enough for this front part. Hang on. What do you call this? Oh my gosh. The placket. The band. The button band. Sorry, you're like yelling button band. And I'm also putting on a collar. I have had this in my queue, and then I took it out, and then I put it back in and took it out, and I'm like, I want to use this yarn. I want to get it out of my cubby, which is that one over there, which is my big bulky cubby, and I'm like, I just want to get it done. Just let me get it out of there. I still have that whole other sweater of Noro 5 or 6 skeins that I need to rip apart too and make something else out of. It'll be another jacket because I don't feel that when I go over the front of me in bulky, it looks good at all. It can be open and bulky, and I'm okay as long as it's not big on the shoulders like that other jacket I made. So anyway, I put that in a search, this much yardage, bulky yarn, and did a search on Ravelry, and that popped back up. I'm like, okay, well, I have the pattern. I've been wanting to make it. I just need to make changes because I don't like that there's no collar. So I need to make sure that I have enough yarn left over for the collar and that I have enough for the button bands. Now, this is all the yarn I have left, and I'm almost, sorry, okay, we dropped frames again. So I don't know where I was. This is all the yarn I have left from one whole ball, and where is it? There's another little bit because I needed to pull some off to start at the same color so that I can start the sleeve at the same color because I want the sleeves to at least match. So the way the pattern wants you to do this pattern is from the bottom up, and obviously I can't do that because I'm not adding in sleeves. I went top down, so I just stopped here, put it on waist stitches, added 8 stitches underneath, and then when I came to put on the sleeve, I just picked up those 8 stitches, and I kept trying it on to see where I needed to do the decreases. So where these little stitch markers are my decreases. Now unfortunately I started to do the ribbing but I actually have to come back. up into here and rip this out and put another decrease in here because it's too bulky right here. I thought it was going to be okay, but it's not. Because it is such a bulky yarn, it really just looks too bulky there. But otherwise, the fit on the arm is perfect. And I don't like holes where it's decorative, and if you like that look, that's fine for you, but I don't particularly care for that, so I just did my regular increases that I do instead of using a yarn over increase so that there's no hole at the raglan shaping. And I kind of was guessing a lot on this because I wasn't sure how it was going to work out. I didn't do the math for, checking the row gauge to see how much I did in row gauge to make sure that I'd have enough to get underneath here in the right amount of time. So I actually was increasing every other round for quite a while, and I was looking at it and I'm going, I think I need to stop. So then I did every 4 for a little bit. You can kind of see there that there's increase, 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 and then there's no increase. And I just had to just go around to get enough volume to be able to get to under here. And it's fitting perfectly. The top is absolutely perfect. Obviously, the sides, they don't quite even meet at all, but that's because there's going to be the big button band there. And the bottom, so the interesting thing about this was I was supposed to change needles, and I thought that I did, but then I didn't. And so when I went to put the sleeve on, I started using the wrong needles. Like, this fabric's looking really weird. But I stopped. I stopped because remember what happened before when I didn't stop, when I looked at something and said, something doesn't seem right. And so I only knit like 10 rounds, so I had to rip that back. And then I put back on the same needles that are on the body, but I'm doing the sleeves in double points. So the thing is, I have this much yarn left over for the bottom, and I can do one more whole lace repeat with this yarn and have some left over, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough for me to do the collar and the button band that I want to do. So it depends on also how much yarn I have left at the end of here, and I still hadn't finished. Let me just show you. I'll just stick a sleeve on. This is what I was doing last night when I was knitting this. I just stuck the sleeve on. So make sure that it's on, and this is my sleeve. There we go. So I do need a bit more, but I'm going to actually take, see that it's kind of bumpy right there? Oh, you can't see. See, it's bumpy right there? It's just too much fabric right there. So one decrease here, and then I think it'll be good to go right where that mustard starts. And I think I'm gonna switch to smaller needles and do the ribbing anyway. So it was just a test because I didn't really know what was going on with this project yet, because it's all, a mystery as to whether it's even going to come out right or not. I had no idea. I think it's going to be fine though. I just need to make sure that I have enough yarn. So, because that's it. I only have this yarn here, and this is the other sleeve, and then this left. So anything else that's left from the sleeve can get used for making the plackets and the collar. Now, I'm thinking of making a stand-up collar, and not very tall, but just a stand-up collar, because if I go down needle size, it actually has a lot of shape to it. This yarn is very sticky, and when I made the sleeve on, what did I use? 10.5s? What are these, 11s? Just even going down from an 11 to a 10.5 really made the fabric thick. So if I go down to a 10 or a 9, I could probably get a really nice stand-up collar. And just like a little mandarin collar, I think would be nice with this. I just have to try it and see. If I don't like it, I can just rip it out and try something different. But I didn't like that there was no color. See how there's just no color? And it's kind of, I don't know. I kind of like colors. So that's my knitting projects. That's what I'm doing. I definitely need to make another pair of socks. I realize that I'm low on socks, and I keep giving them away. So I kind of need some more for myself. And this is a contender to make, oh, I think I'm going to sneeze. This is a contender for socks. I did try, I forgot to tell you, I tried out the Cubics the other day, and what did I do? I cast on, I don't remember what I was doing, but I tried something, and then I decided I didn't want to do that, and I don't remember what I was doing. Was it this? I'm not even sure. So I'm actually thinking of using those Cubics on my Aslan Trans Santa Fe yarn because I know how that behaves. I don't have to think. This is a whole different type of yarn that I haven't used before. This is Cascade Heritage Paints 150s. And so I don't know. It's dropping frames. I don't know if I want to use this right now, although it's nice and springy, but I do have nice spring colors, I think, in my bucket. I know there's some yarn in Italy, some Aslan Trends up there, so I'm not sure what I have here. I'd have to look in my little bucket. Stop dropping frames. Okay, so anyway, let's just go on to spinning because I don't know what I'm knitting next. I will probably finish this jacket in no time because it's big needles, and holy cow, it just doesn't take very long at all. I just started knitting this the other day. That's the thing about bulky yarn, is that it just knits up so fast. I do have some more bulky yarn up there that I'd like to get out of the way before spring comes because, come on buddy, because right now spring is coming and I'm going to want to make spring clothes. I'm going to want to stop making all this outerwear and all this heavy stuff. And so I'm just kind of like getting it out of the way now. I did sell a lot of my cotton. I have some left, but I had a lot of cotton and I wound up selling it on eBay. So I need to check through there what I have and what I wanted to make. There are a few things that I'd like to make. I have some spring jackets that I'd like to make. I'm a jacket person. I have like 10 million jackets. I just love making them. They're so fun. So there are quite a few of those that are in the queue, but they are more intricate in detail and a lot more time consuming and me having to pay attention than something like this here that was just where I don't have to pay attention at all. But anyway, let's go into spinning. I did not spin, but I did check the the yardage on this, and it's 460 yards. At first I thought I had 231 because I forgot to double it. I put the tape measure across the inside, and I just was like, all right, that's a good guess. And then I was like, well, that's silly because that doesn't go all the way around. And so then I just actually did a loop and then divided it. So 460 yards of a 2-ply, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to make with this. And I was trying to do some searches on Ravelry and figure out what I wanted, but I'm just not sure. I waste so much time on there. How much time do you spend on Ravelry versus knitting? I can tell you it's pretty comparable. I spend a lot of time looking at projects, trying to find the right thing. Yeah. So, okay, I have to think of something as a healthy tip, and I didn't do that yet, so let me come back. You didn't remind me. In the midst of me trying to think of a healthy tip, I looked down and I saw this. So these are the little things I was telling you about, the 1 ounce of fiber that I bought from Spirit Trail that are all the different types of breeds, and some are hard to find and they're interesting, and some were dyed. I don't really care for some of the color choices that she had, but I did try to pick up the ones that I liked. But I think there might be some way to put these all together to make them into something, and I just haven't figured out what. So here's one. This is a very cushy type of primitive breed. Let me just see what it is. I have it sort of in my head, but not really. This is what it looks like before it was spun. I kept that. Oh, this is one of those weird ones that I haven't seen anywhere else. Sorry. Arapawa. And it was almost like a Southdown to spin, very spongy. You can see that there's there's a lot of noily things going on in there. The staple length is really kind of tiny, and there's just a bunch of junk in there. So I spun it woolen, and I was like, let's just see what happens. So it's kind of springy. It feels very much like a Southdown, and it spun pretty quick and easy. I did these a while ago. They're just fun. Here's another one. This is color. This is almost like a wine and a mustardy green type thing. I'm not going to pull all these out for you, but they're just little samples. I think most of these are 2-plies, and they're just oddball types of breeds. There's 2 that fell out. There's a Gotland, looks like blue something Corey, I don't even know. There's a Teeswater, Cotswold, Corey is Corriedale. Gotland, maybe BL is, maybe Blueface Leicester. That would be BFL. I don't know. Anyway, this, some of them are more, I think what I'd probably separate is more of the woolen versus the worsted spinning, and then do something with that. This is a pretty one. Because most of them are in the worsted spinning section. It's a pretty blue one. But there's just, you know, like, it's just little bibs and bobs, so there's not a whole lot. This one's a cushy one. This is California Variegated Mutant Comb Top. That's a nice fiber, actually. I have some from Little Barn that I need to spin, but bigger amounts of it. I think I have like a pound of it. And here's another one. So take the cushier ones out and do something with those, and put all the other ones that are more of a worsted type spinning together. And I think it would be a fun project. I just have to find the right thing to do with that. I did pull some other stuff out when I went through there. I'm looking at it over here, and try to put some colors together so that I could make more from the little pieces of hand spun, because a lot of times I would buy 2 ounces of something to try it, and these are all like 1 ounce things, and most of the time, other than that, I would get 4 ounces, because 4 ounces to me is a hat or a pair of mittens, even giving you enough wiggle room for trying out different types of spin. Like, do I want to do 3-ply, 2-ply? You know, it gives you enough option to then do that, because this hat was 4 ounces, and I used every bit of it. And if I hadn't done this the way I did extra, I could have had a full hat without needing to dig in for extra. So 4 ounces is a good amount, I think, anyway, to try a fiber and get a decent sized small project. If you want something bigger, obviously get more. Duh. Anyway, I still have to think of a healthy tip. Hang on. Okay, so in the midst of me going into the kitchen, grabbing some hot water, I remembered that last week I forgot to tell you that Karen from the Stashless podcast, Karen from the Stashless podcast, had on our board put a recipe, a link to a recipe for cashew milk. So that's my healthy tip today, is go over there. It's from Cookie and Kate, and with nuts you can make a lot of things: nut milks, nut butters, nut faux cheeses and spreads and things like that. So if you enjoy those type of products and you think that they might have more ingredients in them than what you like in the store, please know that you can make them yourself. They are very quick and easy, and they don't cost a lot when you make them yourselves, and you have control over what's in them. The other thing I was going to tell you, so funny, there's a little fox that keeps coming, and I saw him yesterday, and gosh, they're so cute. And today the squirrel, I feed the stray cat out on my front porch, And I had a bucket out there, and I heard that clamor, and I'm like, well, what's going on? I had just woken up, and the squirrel, I see the cat, and then I see the squirrel running up. I have he goes in the eaves, and the squirrel has been in my house. Somebody's been in my house. Some squirrel has been in the attic, making a lot of racket. Excuse me, waking me up. They're cute. They are very cute. They're more cute when they're quiet than when they're noisy. But anyway, in the cat box I have out there, I have a bunch of carded wool to keep the cat warm while he's waiting for his breakfast. He doesn't usually hang out there all day. He goes wherever else he goes, but he waits there for me to feed him, usually twice a day, and he'll hang out in that little box. But the squirrel was snagging some of the fiber, and I see it running up the eaves with the fiber in its mouth, and then it ran down the outside pole and was going to go make a house with it. So I think I'm going to put some more out there for them. I have plenty of this carded wool that I carded so long ago, back from Vermont days, I think. And I never did anything with it, and it's just, why don't I just let the squirrels make houses with it, because it's better for them. I have plenty of wool. So anyway, if you're ever wondering what to do with some of your wool that you don't really want to keep anymore, don't put it in the garbage, because that's really not a good place for it. You can stick it out for the animals. The birds will find it and put it in their nest. The squirrels will take it, put it in their nest. I've put out many times fleeces that may have had problems or something I didn't want to deal with, and I just stick it outside, and the animals will find it and make good use of it. So there's an environmental tip for you. The less we can put in our landfills, the better, right? If you can separate your food waste too, if you have a compost area, or maybe other things that you wouldn't necessarily need to compost, but maybe an animal can eat it if you can feed the birds or the squirrels. If you can't feed them on your property because of rules and regulations, sometimes you can go to another area to feed them. Down at the riverfront, people bring stale bread and they feed the ducks and the geese and everything like that down there, and nobody says boo to anybody for doing that. So think about that. It's fun for kids too, because kids love to feed the birds. So it's fun for us big kids too. I really enjoy feeding the animals. I love when they come around. I was just out there doing something, and a little chickadee came over not too far from me and was like, beep, 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 beep. Like, gosh, you're just so cute. Love birds. Love all the animals. They're super cute. So it was really special to see the foxes. I hadn't seen him for a little while, but he came around the other night. It was late too. Normally I've seen him earlier in the afternoon, but not that late. So it was fun. I don't know where he lives. I did actually have a fox. I'm boring you now, but way back at the end of the property, there was a big rock down there, and I've seen a fox hanging out down on there. And then maybe it had a den underneath. I don't know. But I have seen coyotes back there, and we've had bear and deer and turkeys and rabbits, ducks. I've had my own pig here. So there's a wide variety of animals that hang out in my little area here, which is awesome. Very grateful that I found this place. Anyway, so that's a healthy tip. Go check out the board and see if you can make your own cashew milk, almond milk. It's the same thing. I told you a long time ago how to make almond milk, and I may have put a link in the blog as well. But so super, super easy and so good and delicious, and way less costly than buying the stuff at the store. Plus, then if you make the butters, the milks, you can actually use those pieces for other things and use them in filling, cooking, baking. And if you didn't want to eat them, you can give them to the birds and the squirrels. They would be most appreciative to have them. So you get twice as much for less. Okay, that's it. I think that's all I was going to tell you about, because I keep forgetting to tell you things. And I thought I had something else I was going to tell you, and I was like, oh, I'll write it down. I'll put it in my little app on my phone. And I was like, no, I'll remember. I don't remember. Not at all. I might remember as soon as I upload, though, and then I'm going to write it down for next week. So happy knitting. There should be a jacket done next week, and I don't know what else, because I'm not sure what I'm going to put on the needles.